Operation Mincemeat, the biggest bluff of World War II. In the spring of 1943, the Nazis were convinced they knew Allied plans for the coming campaign in southern Europe. German intelligence believed the Allies would move through Greece or Sardinia, then onward to the heart of the continent. But in reality, the Allies had another target entirely: the island of Sicily. To mislead the German High Command, British intelligence devised one of the most audacious deception operations of the Second World War. A plan that involved a corpse, forged identity documents, and the calculated hope that those documents would fall into enemy hands. This was Operation Mincemeat, a deception as macabre as it was ingenious. By early 1943, the Allied campaign in North Africa had pushed Axis forces back across the desert, and the next logical step was an invasion of Axis-held Europe. Winston Churchill favored what he described as the soft underbelly approach, targeting Sicily as the gateway into Italy. But Sicily was obvious. Churchill himself is reputed to have said, "Everyone but a bloody fool would know it's Sicily." If the Allies simply amassed forces there, the Germans and Italians would reinforce the island and make any landing extraordinarily costly. The challenge was not just to fight the Axis, but to convince them where the fight would happen. British intelligence was already engaged in a broader deception plan called Operation Barclay, intended to convince the Germans that Allied forces would attack Greece and the Balkans instead of Sicily. As part of this effort, double agents, fake radio traffic, and even dummy tanks and inflated troop numbers were used to suggest a massive buildup in the eastern Mediterranean. But one idea stood out for its sheer audacity: use a dead body as a vessel for false documents. The concept had appeared earlier in a British intelligence memorandum known as the Trout Memo, which likened deception to fly fishing, suggesting the planting of misleading papers on a corpse to fool an enemy. Two intelligence officers, Charles Cholmondeley and Ewan Montague, were tasked with turning this bizarre notion into reality. They envisioned a body floating ashore in neutral Spain, bearing fake documents indicating that the Allied invasion would come not at Sicily, but at Greece and Sardinia. The success of Operation Mincemeat depended on a single, unsettling requirement. The body had to belong to someone whose absence would not raise questions. Whoever he was, his disappearance needed to pass unnoticed. British intelligence found that person in Glyndwr Michael, a Welshman born in 1909, who had spent much of his adult life on the fringes of society. By the war years, he was living in London without stable work, close family, or a permanent home. In January 1943, he died after ingesting rat poison. There is no evidence his death was intentional. At the time, it attracted little attention. That anonymity made him suitable for a task no living man could perform. Michael's body was given a new identity: Captain, Acting Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. He was dressed in uniform and supplied with the small, ordinary details that make a life appear real. In his pockets were personal effects: a photograph of a fiancée, affectionate letters, receipts, and loose papers, all carefully chosen to suggest routine, emotion, and credibility. Among these items was a letter hinting that Allied forces intended to invade Greece and Sardinia, rather than Sicily. The documents were prepared to withstand handling and scrutiny, down to their creases and aging. Even the logistics of transporting the body were planned with care. Special containers were designed to preserve it long enough to ensure the deception would survive its journey. On paper, Major William Martin looked convincing. That was the point. The man himself had never existed. But the lie built around him was about to be tested by an enemy who had no reason to doubt it. On the night of 30th of April 1943, the British submarine, HMS Seraph, surfaced off the coast near Huelva in southern Spain. There, with meticulous care, the body of Major William Martin was released into the sea, allowing it to drift toward the Spanish shore. Spanish authorities, Spain being officially neutral yet sympathetic to the Axis, found the body. Among the items recovered was a briefcase containing the forged documents. Spanish officials passed reproductions of these documents to German intelligence, which was convinced they were genuine British plans. The Germans responded predictably. Believing the documents authentic, they reinforced defenses in Greece and Sardinia, diverting troops and resources away from Sicily. Adolf Hitler himself reportedly shifted units in anticipation of attacks that would never come. Meanwhile, the Allies prepared for their real assault. On 10th of July 1943, some 160,000 Allied troops landed on Sicily in Operation Husky. The island's defenses, weakened by diverted German focus, collapsed more quickly than expected. Within just a few weeks, Sicily had fallen to the Allies. The deception succeeded beyond expectations. It drew Axis attention away from the true invasion site, reduced Allied casualties, and contributed significantly to the success of the Italian campaign. At the time, most of the world, and even many participants in the operation, never heard of Operation Mincemeat. Many details remained classified for years, and the story did not enter public consciousness immediately after the war. It resurfaced as memoirs and histories were published. Ewan Montague himself wrote The Man Who Never Was in 1953, recounting the tale from the British perspective. Glyndwr Michael, the unwitting participant, was buried in Huelva Cemetery as Major William Martin, complete with military honors, long before his true identity was acknowledged publicly. The operation stands today not just as one of the great examples of wartime deception, but as a reminder of the psychological and strategic dimensions of intelligence in modern war. A dead man, dressed in a uniform and entrusted with fake plans, helped save lives, misdirected armies, and reshape the course of the Mediterranean campaign. Operation Mincemeat was not a conventional battle, nor a field clash of artillery or tanks. It was a battle of minds and expectations. A feat of intelligence that succeeded by convincing one side to see what it wanted to see. A corpse drifting toward shore, carrying false letters, proved more powerful than any division of soldiers. And in the strange mathematics of war, that ingenuity changed history. A true forgotten saga